Welcome back to another Aiming Five-Hole podcast, and I think the hockey gods are smiling on the Montreal Canadiens tonight.
Oh, wow.
Holy moly. How are you feeling, Ryan? Have you exhaled a few times?
Yeah. I mean, the defibrillator was close at hand the entire time.
Your
Uh,
wife must have just been sitting there wondering what
uh,
was going on. Am I going to have to revive this guy or what?
she was more like, "What's wrong with him? This is way too intense for just a game on television." But my brother was here watching with
There you
me, and
go.
we were both absolutely mystified by the Canadians' lack of ability to set up and do anything in the offensive zone all night
Uh,
long.
I kept texting you through the whole game. Shoot the puck.
Well, they
Good
started
things
to shoot the puck.
happen.
They
Yeah,
started
but
to
but
shoot
look
the
what
puck,
happened when they shoot the
and
puck.
everything got blocked. It was
Yes, but but
ridiculous.
but look what happened a couple times. Went to the net, one bounce, good tip by Suzuki, bounce off a lightning player in the net. Other one saved by Vasilevsky, goes off the backboards, comes back, punch it out of the midair. Like throw it at the net, dude.
I
You
can't argue with that. But
you guys can't get 9 shots on net and win like that every night. You've got to get pucks to the net.
no, of course not. But look,
And I say you
the
guys.
Buff.
Now I'm with you here. Look at I got my
Yeah,
hat
yeah,
on.
yeah, I know.
I
Look at
got my
that.
hat on. It finally arrived. Thank God I got a chance to wear it.
Believe me, that was one of the things I thought of when the Canadians, when the final whistle blew. I was like, all right, well, Phil's got a reason to wear that Habs hat now. I'm pretty excited about that.
But and I'm going to let you react. I'm going to give you some stats here from the game, from not just this game, but from the
Okay,
series. I
okay,
want you to react. 9 of 11 goals on 5 from the bottom six.
yep,
9 shots on net in game seven. Caulfield and Suzuki, only 1 goal each. Suzuki was on 5 on 5. Caulfield was on the power play. Dobish, just all out
he's
crazy.
all world,
And
all world.
7 games, all 1 goal games. That
Was
was the
that
series of the first round.
was that the closest series in playoff history?
I
I
got to
like,
believe it was. Like that was the closest series. That was the best series of round one by far in my mind. And I'm not just saying
yeah,
that because I was rooting for the Habs. I just thought it was such such a we called this in seven. It was just such a close series from start to finish. Every game felt like the next goal was going to win. The first goal was going to win. Like it
yeah.
was so close. But and look at for the Montreal Canadiens to win this series with their top six forwards only accounting for 2 goals, 5 on 5, and your best two players only getting a goal each. It's fortunate to get through this first round and hopefully set you up for the next round. But if those guys get hot, who knows what they can do? But they got to get
Yeah,
going.
they got to get going. But I don't think there is uh, a chance. I could be wrong. I don't think there's a chance that Buffalo can do the same thing to the Canadians that Tampa did. Tampa just sort of matches up with their experience and the way they can lock down against a faster team. There
I
there
think
isn't.
Buffalo can match you guys speed wise. Like I think
They
Buffalo's
can,
a
but they
fast
don't
team.
have. But they don't have a Sorelli and a Hagel and a Gourde and like. Yes, their bottom six is okay, but it doesn't. It's not defensively sturdy like
Right.
the bottom six. The Tampa went to great lengths to assemble because they thought they would be playing the Florida Panthers in the playoffs again.
Lo and behold.
Yeah, although you did notice in the last 3 games of the series, all of the after the whistle stuff started to go away. I think both teams
Well,
were starting to get a little tired, but
well, the refs also started picking one guy out, which starts
yeah,
putting a little bit of a halt to that stuff. And but you know, look at great series, great win for the Montreal. Now the only Canadian team left in the playoffs, which is mind-boggling. But we'll get to the West a little bit later. But
yep,
look at to win that series. I'll say it again: win that series when your best players weren't, and it just shows the depth of the team. And you got to hope that bottom half continue to pick up the top half, and while the top half gets going, if they can, it's going to be another great series. We'll talk about predictions later on at the end of the show, but
yeah. Well, I do want to say farewell to the Tampa Bay Lightning in a heartfelt way. To Andre Vasilevsky, man, you played your ass off.
well, he
You
stole game six.
you stole game six. You practically stole game seven by except for two crazy freak goals.
Well, all three goals were kind of.
Yeah, fluky.
all fluky in terms of
Yeah,
bounces going the wrong way and
yeah.
stuff. But
So, all the respect in the world to Andre Vasilevsky. He had an outstanding series. I think he put a lot of people's doubts about him to rest in the last two games of that series, even though he didn't look at his best the first three or four games of the series. And then, also to Nikita Kucherov, good riddance. Uh, I absolutely love the fact that you got nothing done in this series, and I love the fact that you were staring at the ceiling most of the time because you couldn't believe how you couldn't put the puck in the net and complete a play. And
well, I was
it,
I was texting back and forth after the game with a Tampa Bay Lightning fan here down here, who I usually have a lease bet with, and at the end, I said, your team was doomed when you got Perry back, and he goes, Perry wasn't the problem. Kucherov's too damn lazy, and he was probably not wrong. Like he didn't look like I don't know if he's injured or whatnot. Didn't look like himself, but he didn't have a great series offensively.
no,
Always squeezing the stick. Stick was bouncing a little. Puck was bouncing on him quite a bit, but. Look at who would have said at the beginning of this series that Dobish was going to out Vasilevsky.
fair point.
Like nobody saw that coming. And look, remember coming down the stretch, I kept asking you purposely, who do you think was going to start net? You started with Montenbleu, who hasn't
Yeah,
played since the Olympic break. Then you said Fowler, and then you came back to Dobish. So, but wow, is he just again? Look at I said it leading up into the playoffs. Montreal's had a history of rookie goaltenders doing fabulous things in the playoffs, and we got another one doing some fabulous things here. So it's
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good.
Well, I want to go back and acknowledge something I said earlier in the season about Dovish, which is I thought he would be a good backup goalie, but I didn't think he could carry the workload because he didn't really have the mental toughness, the
What'd
ability
you
to
say to
just.
me? Like at some point in the season, you
He
said
had
every time he
bad.
gets scored on, he looks like he was going to cry or something like
He just
that.
had bad body language after goals, and you know what?
He's battling. He's
That's
battling.
stopped. I mean, he battles hard out there. He's
Yeah.
so aggressive. Honestly, it's a pleasure to see. I'm curious to see how far this goes. I think the Canadians will once again be underdogs against Buffalo, especially in Game One. And we'll talk about the predictions later. But I wouldn't be surprised if they had like a Philadelphia like performance in Game One as a letdown. But
Well, they could have, yeah, right, and I think that was a letdown for Philadelphia. We'll get to that series
yeah,
in a little bit, but yeah, I think going seven, Buffalo getting a little bit of a rest here. This series is going to kick up right away. And one thing that's new this year is that they don't normally start the second round until the first round's fully finished. But because of the Olympic break pushing everything so much,
was that why they did it?
yeah, they started second round last night. So, which is not normal for the
Yeah,
NHL,
it's
but
not particularly fair for anybody who
no,
has
but
to
I
play a
think
long series.
yeah, look at I think though, like I think game seven of the Stanley Cup final this year is like the 27th of June, which is late. So
Very late.
it's crazy, right? So if it goes that far, but so I think they're just trying to keep this thing going, and that was the plan. But Montreal's got a quick turnaround now. Got to probably fly right to Buffalo. They probably ain't going home first because they're going to start when did this
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So
Wednesday.
they got a couple days off here, but it's going to be close. At least a little close travel for them, but it's going to be a quick turnaround.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. All right, well,
That's
let's
the
break
bummer.
down the other series.
Well,
Go
let's go to
go
let's
ha
well,
yeah,
yeah, let's
go
go to
Habs
Buffalo
go. Well,
Boston then. Let's go Buffalo Boston.
okay.
Um,
I picked Boston. Not a good
no,
choice.
no, no. I took
Uh
I took Buffalo in six. Lo and behold,
Lo and
two for
behold.
two so far.
Yeah,
Until we
yeah.
get to the West.
Yeah. Well, look, I
But
thought I thought Buffalo looked far faster than Boston did. And that was the difference.
well, the lack
They
of
were the
lack
first to
of depth of
pucks.
Boston finally caught up with them. Swayman carried them down the stretch, carried them
Yeah.
in the first five games of the series for the most part. Yeah, they had that one game where it was a bit of a blowout, but they're just not deep enough. There weren't, look at most people, you and I included, didn't think they were going to make the playoffs.
At the beginning of the
And
year, yeah.
yeah, they got in. Swayman played great. But hey, give it to Buffalo. Since Christmas, they have been lights out, great hockey. First series win since 2007.
Yeah.
First playoffs in 10 15 years and first series win since 2007.
Yeah. And
Wow.
they're playing Montreal for the first time in the playoffs since I think 1998.
Wow. Wow.
And I think they said on the broadcast that that was Lindy Ruff's first year as the Sabres coach.
Wow, really? I didn't see that stat. But I think the other thing too is that Boston went to that series hoping they were going to intimidate Buffalo a little bit.
Yeah.
Buffalo wasn't intimidated. They just played their game. They pushed back when needed to be pushed back. Now
Yeah.
they've got a few injuries coming out of the first round.
Yeah.
Carrick
No
and
Ostlund.
Ostlund are both out for the full second round, they're saying. So that's two big losses. That's going to be a benefit to Montreal. But hey, give it to Buffalo and Lyon seems to have found his game, so it
Yeah.
could be another good goaltender matchup here with Dobish and Lyon. You got to give the edge at this point to Dobish out of that after that first round
Yeah. Right.
performance. So, and I think both teams are deep, both teams are fast. This could actually be another great series, speed wise. Both teams can move the puck and skate around. But again, I say this, Montreal's got to get more pucks to the net.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah. I
think
don't.
that Buffalo's defense is probably better than Tampa
Oh,
Bay's, especially since Tampa Bay didn't have Hedman. Um, but obviously, Lyon is no Vasilevsky, so you got the benefit there. But you got to get more pucks. You're gonna score. You got to get more pucks to the net.
yeah.
Nine
100.
shots ain't gonna do it.
No, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
So
They've definitely got to pick it up. On the other hand, uh, the I think the lack of distraction from the scrums between the whistles and stuff, because I'm not expecting that much of it in this series, is gonna. I think it's gonna help focus the Canadians a little bit, and I think they'll get their game going a little.
all the scrums are
Uh,
gonna be left to the Buffalo fans out in the parking lot.
yeah,
They're going to beat up now they're going to move from beating up Boston Bruin players in the parking lot to beating up dummies of the Montreal
yes.
Canadiens.
Well, hopefully
That's
the
too
Canadians
much.
fans will stay home.
Yeah, no, I don't
Uh,
mean people. I mean, did you not
oh,
see the
oh, yes, beating up
Buffalo
the
fans
the
beating up
dummies.
those made up dummies or whatever they were, the Boston fans, and they're going to
Yeah,
have dressed up Montreal Canadian players and beating up them.
I'm sure
So,
they will. But before we leave this series, like that that Charlie McAvoy play was
oh,
unbelievable.
I,
I
I
mean, like, how do you? I mean, granted, it was a legit slew foot, a dirty play, but
it
you don't skate after a guy and take a two-hander to him to his like head
to the
neck
head like
area.
and yeah his leg was behind him. I didn't see a kicking motion. It looked bad and it probably was bad, but he didn't actually kick his foot out. His feet were behind him and he did push off, which is
Yeah,
bad. But again, he's got an in-person hearing, so it's going to be 5+ games to start next season.
yeah.
But after what
He's got a bit of a history too.
yeah, he's got a bit of a history. So Charlie McAvoy had a bit of a tough season. It probably just all ended up boiling over, losing in game 6 and getting beaten up.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Um, but that's not a good excuse to swing your stick at somebody's head.
No, that should
So
never, ever, ever happen. At the very
I'm
least.
going to guess it's going to be 5 to 7 games.
Okay. Yeah, with his history and everything, 5 to 7 sounds about right.
Probably about right. Probably should be 10, but I'm guessing it'll be less than that.
Stick to the head and neck area should be a minimum of 20 in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, and it
But
was a vicious swing stick,
yeah,
stick motion.
it wasn't a bunt. He was
No,
swinging for the fences.
no, no, absolutely. Uh, so
Okay, so that takes us
Pittsburgh, Philly.
to, well,
Man,
I got this one wrong too, didn't I?
we both got this wrong. Look at
What did I pick?
we called
Pittsburgh at five
seven.
or
We
seven?
called
Oh, okay.
seven. We both called seven. Only went 6.
Mad respect to Philly for pulling that off.
Well, I think this was one of those cases where, and we'll talk about it in the West too, that it was just the young guns had no fear. They just showed their speed, their youthful enthusiasm, and caution at the wind. Just Pittsburgh couldn't match that speed. They made Pittsburgh look old and slow.
Yeah. And
And
Vladar played
and
very, very
Vladar
well.
played awesome. Look at Vladar's um, percentages in the first round was 937 save percentage, 161 goals against, and 2 shutouts.
That's
Pretty good.
pretty good
So
against a team led by Sidney Crosby.
yeah, and they frustrated Sydney. Like Sydney looked frustrated at times. Just no move, no room out there. Their speed,
Yeah.
Just you look at like it. I took Pittsburgh when I probably in my heart thought Philly was going to win this one because I didn't want to bet against Crosby. I'm not so upset that they're gone because of Dubish. And
Dumbass.
and dumbass. And look at they went and got Skinner. Seelovs was much better. What would have happened if they played Seelovs from the beginning? Was they gone seven? Would they had won? I don't know. But Philly just looked good. They played Rick Tocchet hockey. Now we'll get into the second round in a second and a little bit here, but they looked tired though, and they looked way outclassed last night against Carolina. But we'll
Yeah.
talk about that series in a bit. But
Yep.
um, bye bye, Dubish.
Bye bye, Dubas. You got Sheldon is gone. Never
There you
got
go.
playoffs. Dumbass is gone
There
out
you
of the
go.
playoffs.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're gone. All the ghosts
All
in the
you need,
closets are gone. All the,
except for Marner,
there you
who
go.
had
Well, no,
who had
we'll
a
get to
big
that
game.
one. We'll get to that one. So I think that's enough of that Pittsburgh
Yeah.
Philadelphia one. Um, let's talk a little Dallas, Minnesota.
Yeah.
There's one stat from this series is all you need to know. And I know you said Brock Faber played great, and he did in that series. But Hughes had the puck for 8 minutes more than anybody else did in this series. Puck possession, incredible. Like just it is just incredible. Um, 11 years without a playoff victory, first one in 11 years for them, and they're in a tough division, always up against Colorado, Dallas, Chicago when they were winning their cups. So hey, we thought it was going seven, only went six. That series could have gone either way from the beginning, but they at the end
Yeah.
just outclassed Dallas. They outclassed Dallas. They just did.
They got more depth scoring. They got better defensive play. They got better goaltending. Ottinger wasn't as good as I thought he would be
He started
until
off
he,
well. He started off fine, but I think you're right. I think their defense and the and just what you said it earlier. I think last weekend we talked about how good Faber was and Hughes. They're two great defensemen, and they're controlling the puck. Like the puck possession time is just incredible.
yeah. And the other guy you gotta sort of take note of because he is built as a playoff type player and he's sort of stepping up as a playoff type player is Ryan Hartman. I mean, he only had one goal in the series, but he was very noticeable every time he's out there. He's a
Yeah,
very physical player, very dependable in the puck battle areas and the corners and stuff. And so, he's the kind of guy you need to win playoff series, and he really did show up.
yeah.
He
And
really did show.
Kaprizov, 9 points. He's playing well.
Yeah.
Um, excellent. Eriksson Ek played great, although he's now out for game. He's not playing tonight, and he's out for game two for sure. That's going to be a big
Oh,
loss for them. Um, so, it was a that series was everything was a built up to be, but didn't go seven, just went six.
it just went six. Yeah.
But it was
And
everything, both those teams went toe to toe to each other, and either team could have won that series. But
but
hey, good
it
on
does leave
Minnesota.
Dallas. It does leave Dallas in a position of trying to figure out what's next for them.
Yes. No, they just signed their GM to a new extension, so he ain't going anywhere. So the
No, but
philosophy is not going to change. But I think you're right. You got Jamie Benn, who's getting a little old. You got to get a little more youth in that team. Although Wyatt Johnson's a great young player.
he is, but you can't count on Ben or Sagan
But
anymore.
here's some other stats, that I think is important from that series. Ratton -8, Jamie Benn -7, Lindell -7, Thomas Hurley -6. They had of the top eight plus minus guys in the minus, they had four of them in the top eight.
Wow,
In the bottom eight, or bottom eight in terms
the
of plus
worst eight.
minus, the worst eight. They
Yeah,
had four of them, and oh, sorry, my apologies. And then I can't even read my own writing. One of the defensemen,
Miro Heiskanen.
Heskinen was -9. He led the playoffs so far with minuses. So they actually had five guys in the bottom eight,
Yeah,
plus minus. That's not good. That's not going to win you anything.
nope, no. And look, the thing with Heiskanen is, he's sort of a perennial, fringe is the wrong term, but he's like, a second tier Norris candidate every year. But he
Yeah.
has trouble staying healthy in the springtime. I would not be surprised if he was battling something again this time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And you have to ask yourself, like, is this the pattern that's going to repeat itself? Am I ever going to get full value out of this Norris caliber defenseman when it counts at crunch time?
Right.
And which isn't to say you give up on the guy and you trade him or anything, but like if he's your one defenseman, maybe you have to start thinking in terms of maybe he's your number two defenseman and you have to find another real stud
Right.
to be your
Well,
one.
I think you said it too, is what's next for this team because Colorado's continued to get better. Such a deep team. Minnesota this year made themselves better and got over the hump of beating Dallas.
Yeah,
So what is Dallas going to do to stay in touch with those teams? Because as long as Gary Bettman's commissioner, they're not changing the playoff format. These three teams are going to go to toe to toe again the next 2 or 3 years.
every year. Yeah,
So it's until they can figure that out and make the changes necessary because they got the goaltending, seem to score goals, but they're getting a little older, and now they're the three team in that division, and it ain't gonna be long before Chicago figures it out and gets a little bit better, and a few of those
that's true.
teams get better. So they've got to figure something out here, or they're gonna go downhill. And it's hard that you
Yeah.
say that, but they're still in the top three. But again, the way the playoffs work out now, you gotta kick it up because you gotta beat one of those
Yeah, they
two
could
teams. And
they could become Boston in two to
yeah,
3 years if they're not
absolutely.
careful.
Now go back to the Boston one too, because playoff injuries start to play into the factor here too. I forgot to mention Zadorov was playing with a torn MCL in one of his legs and
Yeah,
missed since game three.
he's a third pairing defenseman.
Yeah,
Let's not
I'm
get
just
too
saying. I'm just
crazy about
saying.
it.
We're giving his due. So
Yeah.
whatever. Utah, Vegas. Want to get into the Mitch Marner
Oh,
conversation?
I mean,
The only stat
as
here, this
disappointed as I am, I know you're more disappointed.
Ugh,
So
yeah, I'm so disappointed, more so because this series should have been over in five for Mammoth because they blew a late lead with less than 5 minutes to go in game four and in game five,
that's
and then
right.
lost in overtime. This series should have been over in game five, should have been 4-1 Mammoth, and they just couldn't hold on to the lead, which you give credit to Vegas for pushing back and whatnot. But they had the young they were the same in terms of what we talked about Philadelphia, and we'll talk about Anaheim in a second. This youthful team that just keeps pushing and going, but yet they couldn't get over the hump of holding those leads late. The games were tight, and they just couldn't hold on to the leads, which was just unfortunate because they're fun to watch, and they were all
Yeah,
over the Knights. And I think they exposed the Knights for what they are, and you know, we'll get in. Like I said, we'll get into predictions next in a little bit. But
yeah,
um, I was impressed by the team. It's the first time I got to see a lot of them, so I was impressed by their play, and I'll be interested to see what happens. And Cooley, like that kid, just flying around the ice. That kid figures it out, and
yeah,
being more consistent, he's going to be good. He's going to be a player.
yeah.
No, he is already a player, but
He's already a hell of a
he's a
player.
hell of a player, but he's going to be a real leader in that squad for years to come. And when they
Yeah,
get some of their other draftees that they had this past year come up and make the leap, they're going to be younger and faster and just tough to beat. So they're going to be there for a few years too. They're going to be a good team.
yeah. And I think you could make the argument that one of the MVPs for Vegas was Brett Howden. I mean, he had what,
Oh
two shorthanded goals. The guy's a
yeah,
monster.
yeah. Like and then in game five, he scored the OT winner and stole the puck. And the Mammoth were on a power play and actually, Marner gave up the puck on those half boards in the offensive zone, and then Mammoth turned into the corner to skate away when Howden was standing there, took the puck from him, skate out of the corner, and scored.
Yeah,
Like it was incredible, but it's unfortunate. I really thought Mammoth were going to win that one. It's just so
yeah.
disappointing the way they lost, and of course, it makes it doubly worse that Marner's on that team. But you know what? He got past the first round. He's not going to get past the second round. I'm not going to give away my prediction, but I think I just did.
You just did, but he didn't coast through the first round. He scored a bunch of points.
He
Like
got points, look at again. He was a point. He scored. He got 7 points in 6 games. Three of them came in that final game after the game was already out of control.
I love the fact that you won't give him anything.
No, I'm not giving him anything because again, he gave he
He could
I don't
score
give it to him.
60. He could score
They
67 points in the
here's the point: is
playoffs, and you
they didn't
still
win the
wouldn't give
series
any credit.
because of him. They won the series in spite of him.
Oh, in spite of him. Okay.
They didn't
Okay.
win it because of him.
Wow.
So
Okay.
we'll get into it in a minute. But let's talk about the probably for me
The
anyways,
most significant
the most
upset
significant upset of the first round. Edmonton losing to the Anaheim Ducks again,
in
and
six.
in six, and and I said this coming into the playoffs, and I said it at the beginning in our prediction show. Anaheim came into the playoffs going completely backwards, 2, 5, and 3 coming into the playoffs, looking bad. Edmonton rolling even with Draisaitl out, and Edmonton was just befuddled by the speed and the tenacity and the tight checking that Anaheim gave throughout this whole series and got out goaltended, um, just outplayed completely from start to finish. Now, of course, the injury piece, you can say, oh, the injuries. Yes, look at McDavid with the fractured ankle, foot, Dickerson, the same thing. Not going to help. McDavid didn't look like himself after game two,
No.
which was he was clearly fighting, and now we find out it was his fracture in his foot ankle area, which isn't great. But I think the most significant thing for me in this series was the comments that McDavid and Draisaitl said after the playoffs, and then followed up by what Stan Bowman said.
Well, they said the organization took a step backwards.
Yes, they both said we got to be better. And the other thing, and I thought if you did you listen to all of Dreisaitl's comments?
No, not all of it.
Because he was actually very poignant about what he said. He said we took a step backwards. The guys that left here, and he named them: Broberg, Holloway, Connor Brown. The guys that left had tenacity. They helped us get to the finals. 2 years in the finals in a row. These guys were warriors for us, and the guys coming in weren't good enough. Now, he didn't name the guys coming in, and he didn't quite say it that way,
Well, it's
but he
kind of obvious. You know who
definitely
came in.
named the guys coming, the guys that left. And he said, we just, Frederick, Wallman, and other guys they brought in just not good enough. Like they just don't have the depth that they have. And that's what he was talking about. Like we took a
Yeah.
step backwards here. We're not good. Like the frustration out of the two of them was incredible. What I was shocked about was Stan Bowman got up afterwards and said, I don't see a lot of changes happening for next year. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
How
that's not
can you
good.
not need change? I don't know how he's got a job going into next year. You
I don't
look
know. I don't know how he has a job next year either. I
well.
like
You said it a year ago, even before the season. I think you said it going into last year's playoffs. Edmonton was going to rule the day when they let Holloway and Broberg
Bobo.
go on offer sheets,
Yeah.
and Draisaitl just mentioned it in his going out interview, saying the guys that left were our heart and soul. They were our heart and soul players. They were warriors, and we need to
Yeah.
get back there. Like, and now look at it's tough. The NHL is tough, and you got to the finals 2 years in a row, which was pretty incredible. It's tough to get there three. Those guys played a lot of hockey in the last 3 years. You got to think that you went to the finals one year, then you had the Four Nations, then you go to the finals again, and then you have the Olympics. Like that's 2.5 seasons worth of a lot of hockey.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
look, and then the question then becomes, and we should move on to our predictions for the second round. But given that McDavid is only signed for another 2 years,
yeah,
at what point do you have to start thinking about trading him and
uh,
starting over?
he was very clear in his. What else is he going to say? But he was very clear in his exit interview, saying, "Full stop. I want to win here. I want to be here."
Oh, of course he does. It's
And
the right
and,
thing to
and
say.
Draisaitl actually mentioned what you just said. He actually said, "We got 2 more years. What are you doing?" And he was calling out management, saying, "You got to do better. You got 2 more years. We got to win. We got
Yeah,
to
no, no,
win."
100%. But if it doesn't start off well next year, if they can't pull
Yeah,
off anything, middle of
right.
next season, you
Yeah,
never know.
yeah. You got and Draisaitl said, "We got the world's greatest hockey player on our team. We got to
Yeah,
win."
we got to
You
win.
got the world's greatest hockey player on our team. And look at McDavid said, "Look, we were a mediocre team, and we had high expectations. We're going to be disappointed. We had mediocre team for this season. So, I don't know how Stan Bowman then gets up and goes,
Yeah, we're good.
um, we're good. We're not going to make a lot of changes. I
We're
can't
good.
see a lot of changes happening. Why wouldn't, even if you don't believe it, get up and say, we're going to figure this out. We're going to bring in some players. We're going to bring in something. Like the goaltending debacle, like the letting Holloway and Broberg get away for nothing, some draft choices, and then the debacle goaltender change. I don't know how that doesn't cost him his job.
I don't disagree.
So
I don't disagree.
unfortunate, but got to give it hats off to Anaheim. They
They're
played and
fast. They're fast. They're
Lacombe.
entertaining.
The
They're gonna make a great series with Vegas to see who gets killed by either of Minnesota and Colorado.
but Lacombe, we said it before this. Who is this dude getting $8 million this
Yeah,
season?
and he
A
shut everybody
goal,
down.
8 assists, 9 points, plus 6.
Yeah,
Bouchard -7. If anybody tells me he deserves the Defenseman of the Year award, I'm gonna like smack him because this guy is a one-way player,
yeah, he's not
and
a
that's it.
Norris player. He's not a
Not a
Norris
Norris
player.
Trophy winner, but hey, the other thing was before we get off Edmonton for a second, you got to think going into next season, the Oilers have $8 million tied up in three goaltenders, and one of them isn't even is signed for next year. They're still paying Campbell buyout, and Christian Jarry is 5.5 million. So, they're still paying Campbell.
It's crazy.
So 8 million between the two of them, and both of them might not be on the team next year.
Yeah, again, bystand moment.
So anyway, so let's move on.
Okay, let's
Round
do
two.
round two. All right, well, we got to start where we got to start, right? Montreal and Buffalo. I'm gonna go a little. I am
And
going
and
to
I made my
say
predictions before tonight. I don't hopefully you did too.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm doing them on the fly.
Do it on the fly. Okay. There you go. Let's go. Buffalo, Montreal. I know who you're picking. How many games?
I got Montreal in 7. I think this is
Look
going
at
to be
this. We're starting
another
off where we did last year, last round.
simpatico.
Simpatico. I'd like to call Montreal in 6. I just think this is going to be a bandwagon. It's going to be a firecracker of a series. I'm excited. As much as fun that Tampa Bay Montreal one, I think this one's going to equal it.
Yeah, and
And
probably
the
be more exciting
fans, and yeah, because of the fans, like the
in both
Montreal
cities.
fans were incredible. The Buffalo fans were incredible. Not that the Tampa Bay ones weren't. I just think the Buffalo they're just so starved for playoff
Yeah,
hockey. They were just
for
incredible.
sure.
So this is going to be great. I got Buffalo in 7 as well. I
Oh
mean
no, I got
Montreal in 7.
Montreal in 7. Okay.
Carolina, Philly.
Well, it's not fair that I'm making a prediction since game one is out of the books, but it wasn't like I was going to pick Philly in 4, so it's not the worst thing in the world. I've got Carolina in 5.
Yeah, I got Carolina in 6. And I did, and now I did it before last night. Now I think Philly's gonna fix it last night. But I think they came in a little tired after
Yeah,
the first round. Carolina had a week off and they got a tired Philly team and they were like deer in the headlights. Like did you watch any of that? I knew you were at a concert last night, but I watched that game last night. Carolina came out at them with speed, hitting, dumping the puck in, just full throttle right from the gun.
I
And
just saw highlights.
Philly you could see it on everybody's faces going, what the hell hit us? They got rolled over by a truck last night and they're lucky it was only 3-0.
Yeah, I think Carolina takes game 2 as well, and then Philly picks up one game at home, and then it's over.
Well, the interesting stat here, and this is why I went to 6, was their 4 games this year. Well, all went to extra time. 3 of them went to a shootout. One of them was won by the Flyers. The other 3 won by Carolina. So it was 3-1, but all of them went to extra time.
Yeah,
And that's sort of why I go to 6. But, I think your 5 is pretty good.
yeah.
Go to the
Okay,
West.
go to the West.
Colorado Mini. And I can see the game in behind me. And I don't know what the score is at the moment.
It is currently 5-5, so
Oh,
you're still
jeez.
5. I think
The
this game
Avalanche
goes.
no, it's 6-5 Avalanche now.
Oh,
They
okay.
just scored. I can
Jeez.
see it over my
So it's a
backside here.
defensive battle, is what you're saying.
Wow.
I think Colorado takes this in 7.
Yeah, I got Colorado in 7 as well. So hold on, you
Yeah,
got
these
5
are
now.
two Titan teams that are going to
Yeah.
go at each other with great goaltending. Well, not such great
You
goaltending.
say, I thought it was going to be a bit of a
No,
offensive challenged game because of but you know what? That's why I went 7. I was going to call Colorado in 6, but I'm worried about Wedgwood and a couple of the goals tonight that I saw were a little weak.
yeah,
And I
Yep.
think you might see the other
Blackwood of
wood,
it.
the other wood at some point in this series.
Yep.
Vegas, Anaheim.
Uh, I'm gonna say Anaheim in 6.
Wow, we're agreeing on almost all of it here. I
You
said
got
Anaheim in 6 as well. I wanted to say 5 to rub it in Vegas's nose, but I said Anaheim in 6 as well. I just think they're going to stay on a roll. They're going to. There might be a lot of goals scored in this game. This series is going to be high scoring.
Yep.
Both of them have challenged defensively challenged, so I think there's going to be a lot of goals scored in this series, and we might see
Yeah.
all three goaltenders this series
On both teams.
for
Yeah,
both
no,
teams.
I think Dostal's going to play well. I do. I think that's why I'm picking them in
Yeah,
6.
I like them in
So
6. So we're pretty simpatico going this season. It's not really helping us here,
no,
but I don't know how much time we got left.
we don't. We don't. We
Do
I actually have to run.
do you have to? We're not
Uh,
going to talk about the Leafs and
we're
they're
going to
picking
talk
up.
about we're going to talk about Chega next week
Okay.
because I want to get more details about that. But
You dig in
yes,
the way I dig in. Go listen to those stories I told you about.
I will.
I'm shocked that that's who they're picked.
I will.
Sundin piece I'm excited about. Check
The
it
Chega
out.
piece, not so much. All right,
Not
we
so
will
much.
bring that back next week. I actually do have to run.
Already. Well, you know
Um,
what? I'm sorry you couldn't come here for game 6, but if we're right in our predictions, Carolina, we're going to the semis. I got tickets for us in Carolina if this happens. So let's
Sounds
go
good.
Canadians.
Absolutely.
See you later.
Absolutely.
Have a good night, Ryan. Talk to you
All
later.
right, you take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.